winner at every game. That's when the excitement begins. So catch Indian fever, be a believer with the Cleveland Indians. Indian fever. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2000 December 27th, 2018 Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, publisher, and sports editor of the Lake County Sentinel, Tim Shirer, and it's nice to have you with us tonight, and I hope you'll listen in, and I hope you'll enjoy what we have to talk about. We have many issues to talk about tonight. First we'll start with sports. Then we'll go to some news and politics. There's always a bunch of that, we know. So let's get started. We've got stuff about the Cavs, the Monsters, the Icebreakers, Jarvis Landry's comments, Cleveland Indians. I want to talk about the Cleveland Indians Charities and the horrible misrepresentation about the Dolans in Cleveland, and why people think they're cheap but don't really realize the things they've done for the city. We're going to talk about that tonight. We'll talk about the stock market. In the second half, we'll talk about Trump's lies to the troops. We'll talk about the Aliana DeFreeze law that John Kasich signed into law today. I don't even know why this had to be a law. I think it's pretty pathetic and pretty sad that schools wouldn't just call and alert parents that a child isn't in school. But we'll get to that in the second half of the show. Right now, we'll talk about the Cavs. They are in action tomorrow night. They play in Miami against the Heat. The Heat are 16-7. The Cavs are 8-27, as you know, are having a very rough season, are tied for the worst record in the NBA. So, I guess we can hope that things get better, but I guess the way the NBA goes, I'm not sure if we really want things to get too much better to, end up not getting maybe one of the top 3 picks would probably be a bad thing. The Cavaliers need one of those picks, I think, to get back into being a contending team and a playoff team. If they win too many games, they're not going to get one of those high picks. So, do you really want to win too many games? I don't know. So, but they are in action tomorrow night in Miami against the Heat, Dwayne Wade and the Heat, at 8 o'clock. It'll be on Sports Time Ohio, or Fox Sports Ohio it is, and broadcast on 1100 WTAM. Cavs will be going for their 9th win of the year. Then we have the Cleveland Monsters, who are in action tomorrow night at home against Grand Rapids. And they lost last night to Rochester. They had a chance to be tied for first. They lost to Rochester. Now they fell from a second-place tie. They're now by themselves tied for third in the Northern Division in the American League. That's what the hockey people call it, the American League. It's the AHL, American Hockey League. But the people who really know what they're talking about hockey, the broadcasters I listen to that have been around a long time, they just say American League. So, hey, if they say it, that must be it. I mean, those guys know what they're talking about. They're legends. So, but the Monsters are in third place in the division. And, it's they just can't seem to beat Rochester. They get close to them. This is like the third or fourth time they've got close to them. And then it falls apart. They can't beat them. They can't beat them. They get close and they can't beat them. So, they play tomorrow night against Grand Rapids in Cleveland. Grand Rapids has nearly the same record as the Monsters. Grand Rapids is 17-11-2. The Monsters are 16-11-4. So Grand Rapids has 38 points, and the Monsters have 36. So it should be a good matchup. I think it's always a good matchup when they play the Grand Rapids. From what I understand, they seem to be a rival. So that should be go to that game. It's a good game at the Q tomorrow night at 7:00 against the Grand Rapids Griffins. Now we'll move on to the Menor Icebreakers. The Icebreakers are now on the road for 2 games. They will play tomorrow night and Saturday night. Tomorrow night at 7:35, Saturday night at 6:05. Both games will be in Carolina at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds Annex. And they will be playing the Carolina Thunderbirds. They played the Thunderbirds last night, and they fell to the Thunderbirds 4-1. They're now 2-2 on the year against the Thunderbirds. The Thunderbirds only have 3 losses, and 2 of them came against the Icebreakers. So, it's been a rough year for the Icebreakers. They're 5-14. They only have 15 points, but I'll tell you something. They beat the best team in the league twice. So you gotta have something to hang your head on. And if you're gonna hang your head on something, that's pretty good that you beat the best team in the league 2 times. So maybe, let's go down to Carolina. Maybe they can split down there. That would be pretty good. If they could go down to Carolina and bring at least 1 win back to Lake County, to Menor. That would be really nice. I'm sure the guys play hard. It's not easy putting an expansion team together. I don't care what sport you're in. I don't know how the Las Vegas Golden Knights did it last year in the NHL, getting to the finals. That's crazy, getting to the Stanley Cup finals. But they did. But the Icebreakers are finding out that being an expansion team is not easy. And so they are in action tomorrow night and Saturday in Winston-Salem at the Fairgrounds Annex against the Carolina Thunderbirds, the first place Carolina Thunderbirds. Now let's move on to Jarvis Landry. Browns receiver Jarvis Landry didn't find out until recently, I guess, that the Browns moved to Baltimore. He didn't know, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'll be honest. I'm doing this show on the fly tonight. I had a lot going on today, which is not any excuse, but I did not get a lot of time to prepare for the podcast tonight. And I see here that he did not know. He did not know that the Baltimore Ravens were the Cleveland Browns. He said, someone must have told him, and he said, I quote, "So really? The Cleveland team became the Baltimore Ravens?" And someone told him, yes, Cleveland team moved to Baltimore after the 1995 season and won the Super Bowl following 2000. And Landry's reply was, damn, that hurt, didn't it? Well, I don't know. I know that a lot of players now don't know history, and I guess that's just the way it is. But you would think, I'm sorry, but you would think a guy that plays on the Cleveland Browns would know what happened. I'm sorry, but you would think he would know what happened. You would think he would know that they moved to Baltimore. But what, that we don't just dislike the Ravens because they are in the AFC North. We have real reason to hate the Baltimore Ravens. Okay? Real reason. And we have real reason to dislike the fans of Baltimore. Okay? Not maybe there's a fan that doesn't live in Baltimore. Okay. But the people who live in Baltimore and who are fans of the Baltimore Ravens are the biggest hypocrites on the face of the earth. Okay? I'm going to lay it out here. Okay? For Jarvis and those who don't know. The Baltimore fans bitched and moaned for a lot of years that they lost their team to the Colts. We were treated unfairly. Oh, we were treated so badly. They left. They went to Indianapolis. And then, so what do they turn around and do? They take a team from another city because the NFL kept turning them down for an expansion team. Exactly. They weren't good enough to get an expansion team, so they had to take somebody else's team. All right? So, to me, the Baltimore Raven fan base is the worst, biggest scumbag fan base in the NFL. Okay? They're hypocrites. They whined for years about losing their team. And then they go and take somebody else's. Are you kidding me? What a bunch of hypocrites. I hope the Browns tear the Ravens apart on Sunday. As much as I can't stand the Steelers, I hope the Browns can knock the Ravens out of the playoffs because I hate them more. I hate everything about that franchise. Everything. Everything that it stands for. Go Browns, beat the damn Ravens on Sunday. All right. We're to close this sports portion of the show. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that a lot of fans don't know. I think, in Cleveland, the Dolans have a reputation of being cheap. People, the Cleveland media just loves to feed this lie that the Dolans are cheap. They do. The Cleveland media, especially like the guys on, 92.3, they love to feed that. The Dolans are cheap. False narrative. It's a false narrative. But let me tell you this, something a lot of people don't know. For the last several years, more than a decade, the Cleveland Indians, the Dolans, at the direction of Larry Dolan, the King Dolan, at the direction of him, the Dolans, the Indians, and the Indians Charities have completely 100% funded baseball in the Cleveland public schools, and they fund the Cleveland Little League. You ask a kid in the city of Cleveland if the Dolans are cheap. They might have an answer for you that you don't like very much. So you think you're a funny guy when you say the Dolans are cheap, but you're not. The Dolans are good people who spent a lot of money helping people in Cleveland. They didn't have to do it, but they do it. That's the end of this part of the podcast. We'll be back after this with some news and political talk. Welcome back to the second half of the Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm Tim Shirer, your host. You can get a hold of us on Twitter at LCSentinel.com or Sports Sentinel, or you can get a hold of us on Facebook find us on Facebook at Lake County Sentinel, or you can find news on the website at www.lakecountysentinel.com. That's www.lakecountysentinel.com for all of Lake County's news. We are Lake County's news online news source. All right, let's get to some news. The stock market improved today. It went up by 260 points. Is that what it was? 260.37 points. It closed today at 23,182. It is still down for the year. It is still down 1,800 points for the year. We're keeping our total, the first 2 years of the Trump administration. For the first 2 years of the Trump administration, the stock market is up now 3,212 points. First 2 years of the Obama administration, it was up 3,491. So still at this point, Obama was better for the stock market than Donald Trump. Still. Okay. I don't remember hearing the job numbers for November. I didn't see those when they came out. I'm kind of wondering, were they down? Because the Trump administration didn't talk about them. So I'm wondering if they were down. I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna try to see, let's try to see if the job numbers, if the job numbers went up in November, because I don't remember hearing anything about it. I'm sure if they went down, I'm sure if unemployment went down, if we lost jobs in November, those unemployment numbers would be fake again. They've been good, his whole presidency. It did not move. It did not move in November. So let me see here. It looks like it remains at 3.7. It stayed the same. 3.7. So I don't know, I guess there were no jobs added in November. How come I didn't hear anything about this? It's been stagnant now for 3 months. It stayed the same for 3 months. How come I haven't been hearing about this from Trump? How come he hasn't been touting this? It's kind of interesting to me. Why hasn't Trump been talking about adding jobs when it looks like, really, in the last year, the unemployment's only gone down 0.4%. Okay? So it's not like it's gone down a ton. It's not like he's adding jobs like crazy. Okay? If you really look at these stats, it's a stagnant economy. It really is. Jobs aren't being added. The stock market's dropping. Wow. Big deal. He's done a great job. I'll bet you next year unemployment rises. Not that I want it to, but I'll bet you it rises. I'd be willing to bet that unemployment rises in 2019. And even if it only rises 0.5%, that's more than it's gone down this year. And he's been bragging about it like he's the greatest jobs president ever, which is another blatant, 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 blatant lie. Okay? It's a blatant lie. And his supporters take it hook, line, and sinker every time. They just believe anything he tells them. So let's look at this. Unemployment has only gone down 0.4% this year. That's not a lot at all. It hasn't gone down at all in 3 months. Okay? And in the last 6 months, it's only gone down 1%. It actually rose in June. How about that? It actually rose in June to 4.0. So that means we lost jobs. Okay? It rose 2% in June. Then it went down 1%, stayed the same in August, went down 2% in September, and has stayed the same since. So really, since May, the last 6 months, it's gone down 0.1%. That's not very much. This is a stagnant job market, right? And usually a stagnant job market turns into what? A bad jobs market. I'm willing to bet, and I don't want to bet. Don't get me wrong. I do not hope for a bad economy, but I'm going to predict this right now. On December 27th, 2018 at 7:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the unemployment rate at this time next year will be 5 or above. 5 or above. And the stock market will be lower than it is on this date. The stock market on this day is the stock market today is 23,138. I predict next year it'll be below 23,000 on this date. I don't root against the economy, but I know Donald Trump doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So therefore, it's going to go in a bad way. He can't constantly lie to people, and it's just automatically going to go right for him. It's not going to go right for him. I'm telling you, he's going to find out that economists don't trust him. They don't trust him. The only reason the reason the stock market's done well the last couple of days is because he hasn't been tweeting. Once he gets back to the United States, gets settled, starts tweeting again, you watch the stock market will start tanking again. It will. I'm telling you it will. He's going to tweet about trade or something. Stock market will tank. Because he doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. When he keeps his mouth shut, things are pretty good. It's not horrible when he keeps his mouth shut, but he doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. He's a big mouth. It's ridiculous. How about keeping your mouth shut and not tweeting about it? That's why the economy tanks, because he tweets about it all the time. Well, now he's going to blame the Democrats for the shutdown, which, obviously this is old news, but that he originally said he would take the blame for it. But now he's blaming the Democrats. And I can never remember a president going and speaking to the troops and talking politics to the troops. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That he would go and he would talk bad about the Democrats to the troops. Presidents just don't do that. You can't divide the troops. There we go. Let's divide the troops. Does the dummy not realize that some of those people that he's talking to might be Democrats? What a dummy. I mean, he is just a real dummy. The stuff he says. I mean, just an idiot. So, he goes over to the troops. He lies to the troops. Well, what a surprise he lied to the troops. Told them he gave them a 10% raise. What a blatant lie. What a blatant lie. I believe it's a 2.6% raise they're getting. And then he said they haven't received a raise in more than 10 years. Well, of course he has to say more than 10 years because he has to make it like Barack Obama didn't give them raises. But of course, facts show that they've gotten a raise every year for the last 10 years. But his stupid followers will believe that he's telling the truth. What is wrong with those people? What is wrong with you people? Trump followers, supporters. What is wrong with you that he can keep lying and you just believe him? There's facts to back it up that he's lying and you just believe him. You believe everything the guy says. You believe everything he says. I don't understand how you could just sit here and believe his lies over and over and over and over again. Every day, lie after lie. Without facts. He lies. And you just believe what he says. Why is that? Could somebody please email me or send me a message on Twitter or on Facebook and just please explain to me why it's acceptable to believe the everyday lies of Donald Trump. You believe everything he says. You got mad when Obama lied and said that nobody's health care would change. And he was wrong. He lied. You got mad at that. One lie. But Trump lies every day. Every day. When he opens his mouth, something's a lie. You never hold him. You never hold him accountable. You make excuses for him. I want to know why. Is it truly because his skin is white and Obama's was black? I just want to know. Tell me that I'm wrong. I really think deep down you can tell me that I'm wrong because I'm absolutely right. It is all about race. But that's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at a special time of 5:30. And we'll see you then. Everybody have a good night.